Ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a special star power kind of treat because coming up next, we've got one of the Hall of Fame brokers in real estate with operations in both Indiana and Florida. You know who she is, and Jana Caudill is coming up next on Cliff's Notes. Real estate agents, are you struggling with the day-to-day grind, dialing for dollars, putting in hours of floor time with little to show for it? Are you looking for tips, tricks, and tactics to accelerate your career as an agent that will have you closing more homes, working with more clients, and earning more money than ever before? Hi, my name's Cliff Freeman, and I've spent the past 2 decades of my real estate career running one of the top brokerages in DFW and personally coaching over 1,000 high-performing real estate professionals across North America. I created this podcast to share the strategies and tactics you need to explode your real estate business. I guarantee it. The guarantee. The guarantee is on today, brother, right? C3?
Yes.
Welcome, everybody, to the show. You know this young man sitting to my left. You're right. The heir to the throne cometh, right? He's coming here. And to his left, rather, and to my left, this is Jana Caudill. And if you have not met Jana before, you are in for a real treat. She is as I said earlier, a Hall of Famer in our business, and we've got to let you know that it is time to get that legal pad and that full pen out. We're going to have writer downers for you all show, and we're going to get that in just a minute. But in the meantime, I got to check in with the pilot today. Trelvis, how are you, sir?
I'm great. How about yourself? How's everybody doing?
I got to tell you, it's rare that we miss your company on Thursdays, but we had something special going on last week.
Absolutely. How did the event go? How did it go?
It was fantastic. And speaking the last to close the event out was none other than Tony Robbins.
Right, exactly.
And if you've never seen that guy up close and personal, I'll tell you what, that was really amazing.
Was it a treat?
That was a treat.
It was awesome.
Yeah, nice.
Sure was.
Really nice. You can't beat that, man. This show should be a treat today, though.
This show is going to be a treat
So
today,
you may be
right?
able to beat it. We may be able to beat it.
Absolutely. So without any further ado, thank you, Chip and Joanna. I'd like to talk to Jana here for a minute and introduce you. Jana, a lot of times, welcome, first of all. We're
Thank you.
glad you're here. And by the way, the reason why we're doing this live is because you're doing your own show in the same building, the same studio,
Same
right?
studio.
Yeah.
Mainly because I saw you and how great it looked, so I decided to give him a shot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah, this is, Jeff Crilly's studios here. He's a former news reporter and a media guy, and Jeff has always just been really, really great. And this show obviously wouldn't be where it is without his help. And obviously, Trelvis is here every week with us. But yeah, that's exciting. I'm so exciting. So tell us a little bit about the show. What are you going to be covering?
Well, really, it's not going to be a show. It's we're bringing back Star Power from Howard Brinton's Star Power days, and that's how I started my career. So we can talk a little bit about that. But it helped me launch. It's a real estate broker agnostic training program for realtors across the nation, and we're even going to go international as well. So we are relaunching it. It's been dormant for about 9 or 10 years, and it was time to bring it back. So many of the early Star Power followers, people who launched their careers, they missed it. So we decided to relaunch it, and so we're excited about it.
Wow, that's outstanding. I know it's been through a couple of iterations since Howard passed away, but I can remember I think it was cassette tapes of interviews with agents back in the day, and then it went to CDs. But you're a little young in the business to go back quite that
Right.
far. But that was an exceptional program. It was the one of a kind, the best, and everybody loved Howard. He was just such a great human being, and especially at the live events, boy, he was really entertaining, and it was wonderful. Well, congratulations. Thank you. That is a big undertaking, and I know you're going to take that just as you have your business and everything about you up to a new level and bring that back and get it to the forefront again. So congratulations.
Thank you.
We're excited that you're here. Hopefully we'll get to see you a little more often because
Yes.
you also spread yourself between just Northwest Indiana, right?
Correct.
In that neck of the woods, and then also Naples, Florida.
Naples, Florida.
Right. So what do you have? Tell us about your real estate businesses.
Well, let's see. I'm celebrating 25 years this November. Started my career in Crown Point, Indiana, which is serving Northwest Indiana towns. Knew no one. Started there. My husband was relocated for work, so started 25 years ago myself, and then I quickly grew my real estate team. I'm a mom of 4 boys, so I was having babies and doing all that. So I embraced leverage right away. Took off, and within a couple of years, I was number 1 in my board of about 2,800 people, and held that position for 15 years. We still rank in the top 2 or 3, 1, 2, or 3 all the time. And that's with even me stepping out and going on to do other things. So I was with the Century 21 system early on, first 4 years, and then I found out about Keller Williams. So my husband and I opened the very first Indiana Keller Williams franchise, and I was the OP, top agent with Keller Williams. At one point, I was number 1 out of 80,000 agents for KW, 2006. Coached with Gary Keller and Dave Jinks and the whole works, and learned a ton from them. Went on to be a regional director for the Mid-American region, and enjoyed that stint. I like leading. I like building things and making them better. And then we parted ways after about 11 years, and I went independent for about 6 years. And just honestly was just thinking about getting out of the business. I was a little burnt out. I went to Naples, Florida to get away. It's cold in Indiana, and I got tired of hanging out there all the time. But I had leveraged myself out of my team so they could continue to operate. Went to Naples and just decided I can sell houses here too. This is what I do all the time, and they're prettier and the weather's nicer and everything. So started kind of dabbling in it. Next thing I know, I have a team there now too. And so I was with Caldwell Banker at the time in Naples, and it got a little confusing because I was independent in Indiana, Caldwell Banker in Naples. So then all of a sudden EXP was brought to my attention, and I studied it. I said no to it for about 2 or 3 years. That was probably the biggest mistake, is that I didn't do it sooner. But then I finally just decided, okay, it's one cap, doesn't matter how many states you're affiliated with, one system, one world, one train. Everything was just so much more efficient. So I decided to join EXP. I've been with them about 3.5 years now. And, we're listing and selling in both states. I'm enjoying it. And I don't know.
Well,
there's where I'm at now.
You certainly don't let any grass grow under your feet there. Not only are you running the 2 businesses, but then now you're taking on Star Power again. And
Correct.
I know we talked a little before the show about some of the big plans that you have for that as well. What do you think about life balance here, C3? I mean,
no kidding. How do you manage? You got your team in Florida, you got your team in Indiana, and then you got Star Power, and then you have 4 lovely kids. Yes. Talk to me about how you're
Lovely?
able to.
I'm not so sure they're lovely right
they're
now.
all boys. They're not lovely.
I have 4 boys, guaranteed ticket to heaven. Well, first of all, I think I hire correctly, or I try to hire correctly, and put people in the seat on the bus, and I hold them accountable. And if they can do the job, you don't really have to hold good people accountable, right. And they don't really want to be held accountable. So if they're doing their job and they know what their role is, I have my role, they count on me for my role, each of them do theirs, and it just works. I'm a delegator. I empower people. Yes, I'm a control freak, and I have high standards, and I want things done right or my way, because it's my name on the sign and everything. But in the end, it's just about team building and leadership. And so I've implemented those skills into the business. I don't view myself as a realtor or a salesperson. I view myself as a businesswoman, business leader. And it's really about just hiring good people and holding them accountable, and making a culture that they win in it as well as me. It's not just about me winning, it's about them winning too.
Very nice.
You just opened up Pandora's box here, okay? Because you mentioned a few things. I want to start with, you said you wanted to create a culture so that it's a win for everybody. How has the business model that EXP brought to the table for you, how has that allowed you to develop a culture different? Why is it better for your agents to be here than elsewhere?
Well, first of all, I think every agent has a value proposition, regardless what company they're with. And so, like, I try really hard as a leader to always improve my own, regardless if I'm independent, with a franchise, EXP. So I think that's important. But then I picked EXP because it brought another layer of value proposition, not only for me, but for each of them too. I never would have been able to offer them the opportunity to be a shareholder and have stock, regardless, it doesn't matter. There's no other company out there doing that. And even as an independent, a lot of people think, oh, it's better just to own your own shop and all that. I never would have been able to give them that. And so that's another way for them to make money. And I call it income diversification. The other is the revenue share piece of it all. They have the opportunity to do that and make another stream of income. So again, I wouldn't have been able to do that. The training, the systems, the tools, the world, everything we offer inside, it's a no-brainer. And again, it's not just for me, it's for them too. So I have actually attracted more people to my team. I always did a pretty good job of getting good people, but now it's just easier. I mean, it's a great recruiting tool. I mean, they want to be a part of me, but they also want to, I make it clear that, listen, I love EXP and my whole team, we're embraced. And, this is also the value proposition if you come on to work with us. And so they see it. They see both sides of it.
Okay. So when you were when you developed your teams, built your teams, did you build them according to, for example, MREA? Was that sort of the framework that
I started
used?
building a team before MREA even came out. But I learned, honestly, from Star Power and a lot of the stars that already had teams before me. Because when I showed up at my first conference in 1997, I was a solo practitioner. And I quickly saw that, wow, you should have administrative help, right? Because if you don't have an admin, you are the admin. And you can have buyer agents where you don't have to work with the buyers and you can go focus on listings. And then I saw, firsthand that people had listing specialists, that I didn't have to go on all the appointments. And so, back to the balance. I mean, I was having kids and all that. I can't be everywhere. And I was building my business and kept getting more and more, but I was down to 98 pounds. I was sick as a dog. I was working 7 days a week. I was irritable. I was grouchy. I mean, my team didn't like me. Half the time they were probably ready to quit. I just was no fun. So I quickly saw that, I'm building this business, but for what? I didn't even have time to go cash my commission checks. You know what I mean? So I was making a lot of money, but I was miserable. So I just saw that I needed to have that balance, do what I do best, have them hire to what they do best, and then it just all started clicking, and it became more enjoyable. But yes, I did end up following the Red Book. I mastered it. Anything you do, just learn it and learn it to a T. You can't just go to one class on team building or on growing a team or what it's like. And so, I dove in and I really embraced the universities that Star Power offered. I went to those. I learned from people who were doing it well before me, and I'm just an implementer. Half of my ideas, I had a moving truck year one in my business. I viewed it as a rolling billboard. It was a greater service, a value service to my clients. So I learned something, came back, did it. I really didn't, do anything that everyone else hasn't heard of.
Okay. Since you've been through a couple of iterations with the team, different places, what's the last iteration look like? Have you made any changes or any tweaks to your team model?
So early on, I was very strict on, it was the specialist model. You had to be one side or the other. And it was probably not real wise of me to do it. I do believe that whatever you focus on expands and you do it well. So I was fine with that. And typically an agent's better on one side of the fence or the other. So I was fine with that, but I think I was too rigid. And I probably lost some good people early on because I said, no, you have to pick one side, right? Most of the time we know they don't end up doing both sides. But if you tell them no, they're going to go elsewhere or they're going to start their own or whatever. So I've loosened up through the years. I'm not as rigid on my plan. We usually start them on the buyer side and they learn that way. But if they have a listing, we're going to help them with it. We're not going to say no to it, So we kind of let them do a little bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I was in the franchise model, one of the big concerns was you work really hard to get these people to be great buyer agents, and they get up and they can't move up, so they move out. And in essence, you're creating your competition, right? Do you still feel that way now, that when you invest in people on your team and they become independent agents, that you're done? That's, you wasted all that time and money?
Well, early on, keep in mind I owned the franchise too. So I always made it clear, like, if you don't want to be on my team, I can move you on over to the franchise side of things. However, it was interesting because they just felt awkward, and so they would leave usually. And so I try, when we meet with people, we try to see, do you want to be on a team, or do you want to be me and do this and build this business? And if they have any, if there's any like, no, I want to be like you, then we try to get them to be independent right then and there. They don't need to be on my team and then ultimately go be me. I'll just teach them how to be me type thing. So we try to do a needs analysis and really try to figure out. But now that we're with EXP, I will tell you, I don't care. If I lose someone, I lose someone. They all know, every single person on my team knows that if they start on my team and they want to go then to be an independent agent, we will help them all day long. It's just very clear. And I recently had a gal that just had a baby, and she said, when I come back, I'm going to go independent. I'm staying with the company. I love EXP. And so we'll help her. We'll help her transition over, and it'll be fine.
Well, you're also incentivized now to
absolutely
continue to help her, right?
Yeah, she's my growth.
In the past,
she's still my growth partner, and so yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Exactly. Wow, this is just great. And I'm sure there are people in the audience going, "This is a rock star, incredible, #1 Keller Williams 2006." I want to roll the time back a little bit here.
Okay.
I want to dive a little deeper into what you were doing before real estate, and what was it? When did we use this term, Google term, called zero moment of truth? When was it you woke up, or did you wake up one day and just go, I'm going to get into real estate? How did all that come to be?
So I got married at 19 years old, had a baby at 20, lived in married student housing, Purdue University, worked 3 jobs. My husband at the time dropped out of school, or he wasn't able to go for a semester. Let's just put it that way. So I had to go to college in order for us to stay in married student housing. I'd never planned on getting my college degree. I was just going to go to work. And so ended up liked learning, and thought, well, I'm just going to keep going. So I was working full time, getting my degree at Purdue, and I was studying leadership and human resources and all that. But I worked for a State Farm agent, and he was right next door to a real estate company. So I would watch all these realtors drive nice cars and they dress nice, and I'm like, and they were able to come and go. And here I am in an office, 8 to 5. I opened the office for him. I closed the office for him. I ran his office, and I always thought, wow, someday I want to be a realtor, But the broker told me that most realtors get in and out of the business, and they fail within their first year. They had younger women, and at that time, keep in mind, I'm 21 years old. And she said, you've got to almost be 50, 55 years old, almost like your second career, and have a husband that's taking care of you in order to be a successful realtor. So I was like, okay, well, that's, I can't do that because I had to pay the bills. He was going to school. I was working 3 jobs. we just couldn't do that. So I banked it, worked for State Farm for about 11 years of my life, and moved, and I was miserable. I was doing claims. I was negotiating bodily injury claims and car accidents, and people were cranky, and it was just, no fun. And I was like, and my husband was like, I'm tired of hearing you complain. Pick a profession that you want to do. And so I said, I've always wanted to be a realtor, and he was like, fine, do it. And so I literally quit my job and went all in. Listen to those Star Power tapes back then, which, by the way, you should listen to them because they're still very valuable to this day.
Still relevant today. Still relevant today.
It still works.
Yeah.
I'll let you listen to them.
Sweet.
So, and then ended up just before I even got my license, I hit the ground running. I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it well, because I gave up, a salaried position, and I knew I didn't have any time to waste, so I just dove right in.
And so what was it like your first year?
My first year, I sold 35 homes, and I did 115,000 in GCI. But I also switched companies during that time. I started with a very traditional model, and then I went to the Star Power conference and saw that it was really about me, not about the company. And I had some good mentors and so when I came back, I actually renegotiated and went to a different firm. So, but back to the drive and what got me, I didn't want to be an employee anymore. First of all, I'm always late everywhere I go. I'm not a morning person. And so I hated punching a time clock, and I hated, being told that I had to work from 8 to 5. And I mean, I could get more done in 8 to 5 or 8 to 1 than most people did 8 to 5, because I'm fast and I think fast and everything. And I just felt like, no matter how well I did, it was only a certain amount of money I was going to make, right? And so I'm an entrepreneur. I like, running my own show and calling my own shots and things like that. So real estate was really intriguing to me. But I also saw that most of the people that didn't make it was because they were a salesperson. They weren't a business person. And then I've watched a lot of teams, actually. The demise of a lot of real estate teams is because they're not good leaders, and they're not good team builders, and they're not good, HR people and everything. They're just good at listing and selling. So I just kind of took all those skill sets from my HR background to my claim adjusting, negotiating. I'm never afraid to deal with someone. I grew up on a Holstein dairy farm, so I can meet with a farmer and relate to them, and I can meet with a high-powered executive and meet with them. So I bring value, and that's what I concentrate on. So
interesting. So this is a very beautiful picture. It really is exceptional for somebody to achieve the level that you have in our industry, but it can't have been a smooth ride all the way. Mm-mm. There had to have been some challenges for you. Would you be open enough to share some of the hard things that you had to get through
during my real estate career or my life?
You pick it.
Well, I believe I try to be very real and transparent, and it's not a bed of roses at any, and so I'm human. I did go through a divorce in my life, and then I've remarried, my husband today. And so I view things that it was never a mistake. It was part of God's plan. And because of that first marriage, I have a wonderful 36-year-old child. His wife is on my real estate team. She's my best listing specialist. I have 2 beautiful grandchildren. I got my college degree, and I met my husband today. So that was lots of gifts in that. And so to this day, I still, have a high regard for him and his family and everything. So that was not a mistake. I remember the day I had $5 in my checking account. And I remember, having to work 3 jobs and pay the bills and everything. And I don't ever want to go back to those days. I am driven by money, but it's not because, and I have nice things. I have nice houses and cars and jewelry, whatever. But that's not what motivates me. I do believe that to whom much is given, much is expected. So I do think God blesses me with money so that I can go do good things with it. Because no matter how much money I've ever made, which I've made more than I ever thought imaginable. I mean, like I said, I grew up on a farm and made $3.35 an hour my very first job. So you remember those days, right?
$1.82.
But so really, it's not about the money, but it is I can do a lot of good with that money, and I want to make enough where I can help all the other families that are underneath me live their good life, however much, achieve what they want to achieve. So, but a little bit of it was that it was driven by the money. Also just, I'm competitive. I like to accomplish things. My dad was always, don't half-ass things, if you're going to do something, do it well. So, I like to do things well, and if I'm going to get into real estate, I'm just going to be the best realtor I can and the best community leader I can. So I guess that's driving to me. I like to make an impact. I really, truly regard whatever I sign up for. I want to be impactful, and then at the end of the day, I want to know that, God was proud of me, and I used all the skills that He gave me, and that's really what it's all about for me. I mean, it's pretty simple.
Well, tell us a little bit about some of the altruistic things that you're involved with now. I know you were talking about something you set up on Facebook that's now turned into a 501c3.
So during COVID, I was in Naples. I felt super helpless back in Indiana. I have a moving truck. My moving truck was sitting there empty. I came up with this idea. Let's just use it for food. Like, people can drop off food, get food. So it was almost like just if someone wanted to donate, they could. If someone wanted to pick it up, they could. And next thing I know, and so I started this Facebook group called Crown Point Neighbors Helping Neighbors. I did not put my name on it in terms of real estate or anything. It was just a charitable group. And then it just kept growing and growing and growing, and it just developed, and now we're at 13,000 members in our town. People use it as a resource. We ended up formalizing the 501c3. We help other charities. Like this Sunday, we're doing a golf outing with that other charity. And so we're just bringing value to our community and making it a better place to live. And I'm a marketer, and I built my business, being very out there with my marketing. I never was a cold caller. I just marketed, and I wanted people to call me. And so this has been probably the best real estate marketing I've ever done, even though I didn't set out to do it. It was just to give back. So,
all right.
that's one thing I'm kind of doing and working on, and it's fun.
That's awesome.
Super cool.
Yeah, I love that. Gives us an idea for my
Yeah.
I'm going to ask your permission to shift gears,
Okay.
And I want to ask you another question, kind of about you as a child. Who was your hero growing up?
I watched my dad. My dad has never worked for anyone a day in his life. He was cut from the high school basketball team at the age of 16, and that was devastating to him. So he started milking cows and buying cows and just threw himself in. So I watched him, think big. He went and bought this big farm, and probably, looking back, he probably went and got a huge loan. You know what I mean? But he built this massive barn, and he was cutting edge in the Holstein dairy industry. So I watched him do things really, really well, and think big in his field. So I would say he's probably, and I'm a lot like him. So he would be, but outside of that, you know what? That's a hard question. I mean, when I went to Purdue, that opened my mind to diversity, because people were coming from all over. And I had a professor that probably saw something in me that helped me, and he taught Machiavelli and everything in business and leadership, and so I don't know. I think he kind of was someone who opened my mind to other things, because I came from a small town, small high school, not a lot of entrepreneurs or big business people. And also another person, my ex-husband's mother, she was a businesswoman, and she had a great job and did super well for herself. And my mom taught me faith and caring for your family and all that, but my mom never worked outside of the home, and I knew I didn't want that, right? I wanted to be different. I didn't want to have to ask my husband if I could, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so I decided, no, I want to be a businesswoman. And so my very first mother-in-law was someone I looked up to. And I was like, I want to be more like her. I want to, so I guess, other than that, now I tap into, I read every John Maxwell book imaginable, Success Magazine, which I'm excited that we're a part of that now.
Yes.
But
yes.
back then I used to listen to the CDs. Jim Rohn, I've seen Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar. See You at the Top. Zig Ziglar was the very first book I ever read when I went through my divorce. And I was like, you know what? I just got to get up, put your big girl pants on and just go and make the best of it, right? Sometimes things are dealt to you, cards are dealt with you, and they may look horrible, but in the end, it's what's going to stretch you and grow you, and it's just part of the plan. So
yeah, we used to, when he was young, we'd sit on the second row of Prestonwood Baptist Church with Zig and the redhead, and the whole
Wow.
you
Yep.
can get anything you want in life if
Yep.
you just help enough other people get what they want, which is really, that was Glenn's idea for a business model.
Right.
Here with EXP. So do you currently have a coach? Do you have a coach?
I do. Outside of real estate, though,
Okay.
I have a high productivity performance coach. She helps me think even bigger than I already think. So we talk about 2 times a month. She knows everything that's going on in my life. And honestly, it's more like, okay, what do you want to talk about today? Like, this is the hot topic. This is my, and so she helps me make it more efficient and definitely thinks bigger. And she hangs around people that are, that help you think differently. I was always, for a while there, I was the teacher, and no one was teaching me. And I've always looked for a leader that was 15 steps ahead of me. And, then I became equal to them. And it's like I was always looking for the next person to help stretch me and grow me. And so that's what I try to bring to my people. But I'm always looking for someone that challenges me, for sure.
So for any agents out in the audience out there who may be struggling or not getting what they showed up for,
Mm-hmm.
How important would you say coaching is and mentoring, connecting with the right people to help you in your career?
It's everything. However, I do think that you might switch, though. You know what I mean? Like, there's different times in your life you need somebody different. So, but just whoever you resonate with, if there's someone out there that you admire, and I would interview them just like, people interview agents. Because maybe you just need someone to help you with your sales. If that's the case, then pick someone that, is going to do that. I think that there's so many coaches out there. But also within our own organization, you might not even have to hire a coach, because a lot of times people view that as an expense. There were times I didn't have a coach. But I just tapped into the organization that I was a part of. And that's what I love about EXP, because you can get in there and you can, like, I taught a class today in the world, and I taught it on team building. And if you want to expand and what you need to have in place before you go expand into another market. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I did that for free. I shared for an hour of my time, and there were people in there that can listen and learn. So you don't even have to pay for that. That's just part of our organization.
Right, and it was virtual too.
And it was virtual. They could sit there at the privacy of their own home, listen in. And so I really think, just tap into our organization, whether it's EXPs, Star Power. That's something that, we'll be listening, we'll be highlighting people and they can listen. But just any of them, they're out there. And then maybe if you want to drill in, yes, then hire a coach to help you drill in on stuff.
So for like execution, accountability, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people get in this business and they always hear the word coach and they can't distinguish the difference between a coach and a mentor.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't want someone, like, I guess figure out the type of person that's going to drive you. Like, I don't want to have to someone say, oh, how do you feel about that? Well, what do you think you should do? Like, I'm a high DI personality. I'm just like, here's my situation, give me a couple of pointers and then let me go do it. You know what I mean? So I think it just depends on the person,
Right,
just
right.
whatever you need. But they need to get you. They need to understand you. And if they're making you feel like you're crazy because you think big, then you need to go get another coach.
You've outgrown
You know,
your coach.
yeah.
Yeah,
You're the
for
average
sure.
of the 5 people.
Yeah.
We all have heard the average of the 5 people you hang around with the most. And if you're the smartest one in the room, we need to like change that room. So
Right.
I put myself in rooms where I'm not the smartest one. I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to stretch. And I think as an agent, 25 years, you've been doing it probably longer than me, maybe around the same time. We're learning based still. We were last week at our EXP conference, and we were still learning, and we were growing and stretching and networking and collaborating, and that's what,
Well, there's one thing that's certain in this business, and that's change. And the only way you can keep up, if you look at the advent of the iBuyers and the commission compression and everything that's going on right now, you cannot afford to sit still in this business, because you'll be that squirrel, right?
The
Where
flat
the
squirrel.
one that runs halfway across the road, stops and looks around,
Right.
And then the Suburban flattens it into a pancake, because that's what happens.
I believe that agents, and that's fine, all those things that you're doing in the internet and and I do it too, but the foundation, it's still a local business driven by that local agent. It's about relationships. It's about communication. It's about giving a great service, being that community leader.
it. Yep.
All the basics, you can't get rid of them. Work that database. I mean, I didn't even have a database, so I had to grow mine 5 people at a time, at a time. And to me, I always said it's not about the one-time commission. I'm here to build, and so,
long-term play.
Yeah.
and it's slow and steady wins the race. And you
Right.
just keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and you do it right with integrity. I always say you take money out of the equation, you will always do the right thing. So money came because I just did the right thing, and then I helped people, and then I would make more money, but I never set out to, I want to make a certain amount of money, ever.
No,
That's what you used to say. You used to say your bank account is a reflection of how many people you've helped along the way, or something like that.
Right. It's just a scorekeeper.
Right.
The money you make is a score of how well you're helping other people get what they want. Back
Right.
to Zig Ziglar again. Sort of.
Here's another thing too, and I think I don't get all caught up on production now and units sold and volume, because I could sell X amount of volume and someone else do the same, and I'll make more money because maybe I run a better operation. You know what I mean? I'm all about being profitable and being in business to make money. This isn't a charity. I have my own charity. But so I think people get caught up. Realtors get caught up on how many units they sold and how much volume they did. And to me, what's it matter? At the end, it's what are you doing with that? Because, are you smart? I mean, it's about running a business and having those
That's what-
vertical and
I totally agree. That's what we've always said. It's the profit motive too, right? But if you look at all the way the rankings and stuff, it's not, they don't rank you according to how profitable you are. It's how many deals did you do.
Right.
If you look at real trends and all this stuff,
Right, it's never-
and the brokers could honestly, they don't even care if you're making money as long as you're selling real estate.
Right.
That's the sad thing about
And
it.
there's been years that I, probably brought in a lot of GCI and didn't make a lot of money. And then there were years that I brought in less but was more profitable. So I don't get all caught up in that. And I've watched friends put their identity to that. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, one of my realtor friends even committed suicide. And I think it's because at one point they were all tied up of number one, I'm number one. Okay, what does that really mean to you? At the end of the year then, if you're miserable and, your family doesn't see you, you know what I mean? So I realized, and it's not about a title either. Even, you get rid of that title, you're still the same person. So none of that really matters. And so and what I love about EXP is we don't ever talk about our production, right? It's just that's not important.
No, it's just like, can we help you improve it? Is what we approach it from. Like, it's not a comparative thing. It's like, can we help you double your business?
Right.
Can we help you?
Or what are your goals?
What are your
and
goals?
what are your goals?
Right.
If you want to but maybe we can help you not just list and sell more houses, because before the other franchises or companies or whoever, it's you want to make more money. Okay, well, let's teach you how to list and sell more houses. What if you don't want to do that?
Right.
I was on that hamster wheel.
You don't have to live on the transaction
Absolutely.
treadmill. Right.
And so I don't want to be as good as my last sign. And I want to build multiple streams of income, which is why this model is perfect. But my husband and I were very fortunate. We made good money in our sales, and then we invested in real estate. And so we built wealth, made money with our money. A lot of people don't do that. Our organization can teach you how to do that. And I love it. We're not talking about, now, if you say, I want to go sell 50 homes, boom, I'll help you go sell 50 homes.
Right.
But you know what? Maybe it's not about, you got to sell 75 the next year and 100, and then, maybe it's just about making more money and spreading it out in different verticals.
Well, have you ever been to a realtor's retirement party? I heard this. I love to ask
No,
this.
because they never are able to retire, right?
Because every year at the end of the year, you put everything back to zero
Right.
and you start back over.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's going to return, no residual,
Yep.
no recurring income.
And I would always
when you're on
wonder,
transactions.
did I just get lucky, or can I do it again next year? You're all by Christmas time you're exhausted and you're like having fun, but then all of a sudden that week in between Christmas and New Year's you start to panic again.
The no money November. Have you ever had anybody that you worked with that fell ill, and then couldn't work,
Right.
and
Yeah.
and had no income? I mean, that's a horrible thing.
Yes.
And we
Or we've all lost people here, especially with what's going on and
Right.
COVID and everything. And it's like they're young and they weren't set up. And they didn't have their family set up. So, I just think that I love this model because I do think that we're waking realtors up and we're making them business people, and so that's exciting for me. But
Creating leaders, right?
yeah,
Well, and if
leaders. Creating
leader-
leaders,
yeah.
yeah.
And if you're not building your own dream,
You're building
you're
somebody
building
else's.
somebody else's
Yeah.
dream too,
Right.
right? Yeah.
So I have a question for you real
Yes.
quick. I know we're coming close to our end of time here, but
yeah.
my dad always likes to ask, and I'm going to ask this, but what do you want to be remembered as? What's your legacy going to be? What are people going to think of when they hear your name when you're gone? What does that look like for
Well,
you?
it's definitely not about how many houses I listed and
Not at
sold
all.
at all. That I was fun and giving and helped people make a difference, or I made a difference, regardless what it was for my charity or my family. I don't know. That's a good
Tough
question.
question.
I need to think about that more.
Well, how about this? I got another one. Yeah, I'll come back to that one. What's one piece of advice that you could give to somebody that's either new, been in the business, or just any agent that's out there that really could use some advice on
like unstuck.
Right? Yeah. How
Yeah.
does somebody get unstuck or?
Well, keep in mind, regardless what level you're on, there's always a ceiling. Okay, so don't think for 1 minute that if you're 7th level agent, you don't have problems. We all have issues and problems and challenges regardless. So don't, just know that. So hook up with someone. Sometimes it takes an outsider looking at your business with 5-10 minutes and gives you a couple pointers in order to break through that ceiling of achievement. So I would do that. I would say hire people to help you. Like, you can't do this alone. A doctor doesn't do it alone. A pilot doesn't do it alone. So hire that. Treat it like a business. The other thing is just, like I said, take money out of the equation. Just go help people, have an impact, be really good at what you do, So if you're going to be a realtor, you better be studying every aspects of it and treat it like it's a business and bring value to people. And, I don't know.
Sorry to stump you on these last few.
I know,
No,
but what
that's
else?
great answers, though. I mean,
Yeah.
really, it's in a lot
Right,
of it,
yeah.
the persistence and really just getting, good help. I think a lot of
Yeah.
times, this is a crazy business, and
Yeah.
a lot of us, if you just look around, you can find somebody who's been there and done that.
Right.
And if you're resourceful and collaborate, and that's what I love about where
this.
we are,
Yeah.
is the collaboration is at a whole nother level. I'm
Unmatched.
not just limited to the knowledge in
Right.
my, office of 420 agents. I'm connected physically through the world to 60,000 agents that I can, reach out to, and it's just it's the way
amazing.
it's our culture, right? The culture. So do you remember when?
I would say being honest too. So many realtors,
Integrous, right?
just tell people what they need to hear, not what you think they want. I mean, I just was brutally honest, and I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, how honest do you want me to be with you? And they'd say, well, 10, of course. So then I just was honest with them, and maybe they didn't need to sell right now, I would, and talk them into like just wait type thing. So, but not being afraid. I was a good listing agent because I said what needed to be said, and I didn't just, I priced things accurately, but I educated people. I won them over at the table. I made them feel comfortable with me. I didn't have to be their friend. I think it's another thing. People think they've got to be friends with all their clients. I have friends. I had children, my business, and I have friends. I didn't have time to be anyone's friend. They hired me as a professional. And so I think keep it like that. You know what I mean?
I like the way you put that, having that line in the sand between,
Yes.
hey, I'm a businesswoman or a businessman, and
Right.
these are my clients.
Right. I mean, if they're going to have a major surgery, they want to hire the best surgeon,
Right.
And so I just was always, I was that professional. I was the one that brought value to them and impact, and I wanted them to refer me. And a lot of times I got it over people that they knew. They went to high school with someone. And
See, you out-friended those folks without them knowing you out-friended them when it
Right.
really wasn't.
It wasn't
just
about
del-
that
it was about
friendship.
delivering
It was
value.
about the value,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I talked a different language. That's another thing. We all talk, cliche real estate. I would speak to them, and they'd be like, "I've never heard." So at the end of it, they would go with me because I talked a whole different language. So
Exactly.
Was
yeah.
that because you were more educated, or is that just
probably. I mean, I think I quickly, like I said, I learned from the best of the best,
Right.
and I just it would just roll off my tongue. I would put those tapes and those
I was gonna
CDs
say,
in
that's
my
what I'm
car.
This is somebody who believes in investing in self-development,
correct?
right? here.
Yeah.
That's back to
Yeah, and that's the whole start. And it's
Yeah.
so wonderful that now you're at the piloting the ship,
Right,
the
of
Star
Star
Power
Power.
ship.
And that's
Right.
one of the reasons I did it, was because I learned from day one. And so, it's exciting. And not everybody has that opportunity. Sometimes they, join one company and then that didn't work and they join another and they're looking for that. And they're, I did it from day one. And so I was excited and so I want to bring it back. I feel like our industry needs it.
I agree,
Yeah.
1,000%. Well, we're
and what a better
excited.
person to lead something like that.
Yeah, for
right?
sure. And anything
thank
that we
you.
can do,
Yeah,
thank
C2
you.
and C3 are here for you
Yay.
too. If we can ever help out, if you want to lean on
I
us,
love
we'd be
it.
happy to help.
I love the C thing too, because
Yeah.
I have Corey, Creighton, Chase, and Connor. So we have C to the fourth
Hi,
power.
boys. How
Four
you doing
boys.
out there?
What's going on?
Well,
So-
Jana, do you remember when we were in the lobby and I said the time is going to fly pretty
Yes.
fast? You're going to look
Yes,
up and
yes,
I'm going to go,
yes.
it's time, we got to stop. Well, it's that time. But
Okay.
I just want to tell you, I'm so grateful to have you on the show, so thankful.
Thank you for having
it's
me.
really a
Nice
privilege.
to meet you.
Yeah,
and,
Really
yeah.
a privilege to have you here.
And
to
if you
meet
have
last
any
week.
referrals in Naples, Florida, or Northwest Indiana, feel free to reach out.
Definitely.
I'm
Absolutely.
happy to help
Welcome
you
on,
guys too. And I think it's great what you're doing. And I think it's awesome that you're building your organization, and you've got a great father and mentor help leading you.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So-
I have to pinch myself.
Yeah.
A lot,
Appreciate the kind words. If somebody in the audience wanted to reach out to you personally, maybe there's something that troubles them and
Mm-hmm.
they just got something, you hit a button with them today. How could they reach you?
Well, I'll give you my cell phone, 219-712-1365. You can also follow me on Instagram, Jana Caudill Realtor, I believe it is. And, you can Google me. You'll find me, Jana Caudill.
And thank you for being just open for not everybody wants to give their cell phone number out. But we really appreciate that, and I'm sure I know there's folks in the audience who are going to be
Yeah.
giving you a ring. So
Yeah.
we thank you so much, and just wish you the best. I can't wait to. Would you be open to coming back in 6 months or so for a little
Absolutely. Yeah,
little
yeah,
part
yeah.
2 of this?
Yeah.
And
I can interview you.
Well,
How about
okay.
that?
I want to keep
Yeah,
up.
there we
I
go.
want to keep up with you and
Yeah.
see how Star Power
Yeah.
is going. And
Yeah. Starpower.com is our website. We're in the middle of launching it, but if anyone wants to join, I'd love to have you guys as club members as well. And
super. Are
join
you on
in.
Facebook now as well? Or?
Yes, there's a Star Power Facebook group called Star Power Club.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
and it's
Star
an
Power
open group for anyone, and we're engaging, and so we're ramping that up. So
Okay.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so invite all your realtor friends. It's like I said, it's broker agnostic. It doesn't matter what company you're with. We want you to learn. We want to help embrace our industry and make it better.
Oh, that's great. I get goosebumps, man. Just Howard Britton, God bless
Howard.
you. Man. Yeah, we hope you're having fun up there where
I think he's
there's
happy.
no sellers and buyers to deal with, right?
Yeah.
So,
Thank you,
well,
guys.
thank you, Jan. Appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for being here so much. We're excited. It's football season, Travis. Cowboys are right around the corner, and I know we're going to be watching them close this year and praying for a great season. But in the meantime, you guys get out. We're heading into the fourth quarter. Get out, enjoy some golf and some tennis or whatever makes you happy, and we'll see you next week right here on Cliff's Notes. All right, folks, tune in to Cliff's Notes every Thursday at 1 o'clock Central for the tips, tricks, and tactics to explode your business. I guarantee it!